Welcome to another tutorial about how to paint shadows on buildings. I was in the lovely town of San Gimignano lately, and I saw this shadow dancing on the wall here. So I thought, wow, let's paint it. Let's do a really nice video about how to do this. So we're gonna use this is My Mary, um, the brand name, and it's basically ochre, but it's called siena, terra di siena. And then we're going to use another paint, which I really love, and this is burnt umber. Basically, it's terra di siena, but it's burned. So it's a darker shade of terra di siena. I love both of them because they have different uses. And basically, the burned sienna is the shadow on the other one. And then I think I might actually venture into using an ink. This is umber, and it's a really dark ink, which could really work very well for us. But I really don't like to mix ink and watercolor. Some people do that. I don't know. I kind of stray away from it because they're just two completely different mediums. They don't mix very well. You can layer them, but certainly they don't mix well. So we'll see. So I'm applying the first layer of this yellowish, this is the sienna. And I'm just covering the building because it's going to have the same color all around. And right now I'm not doing any shadowing, but this is important. This is like groundwork to start building our our basic layer where we're going to build upon. And what this means is that this is going to be the layer that we're going to take the light from. And I'm going to show you later how this is done. Basically, this is going to be the layer that's going to be doing the light that's shining through. And I applied a little bit more pigment. It's the same shade, it's the same color, but there's more pigment. And I think I put some yellow in there. And now I'm applying a little bit of darker brown. I think um, it's the burnt sienna, which I'm applying here underneath the roof. And the bottoms of the roofs are going to be the darkest areas of the entire painting because the sun is above those roofs. And so what's below the roof is definitely an area that's in shade. And that shade, it's going to be throughout the whole painting. You can replicate it like a rubber stamp almost, because every single roof that you have on a building has a little bit of an overhang or a lot of an overhang. And this overhang is going to be the area where the shadows are going to be. Of course, shadows are going to be in other areas too, but this overhang is going to be the toughest and the darkest shadow in this entire painting. So just keep that in mind. That's kind of important because it has to look good, and those shadows are going to be the ones that are going to be the darkest. I'm just doing a basic sky here, nothing major. I'm trying to make it as uniform as possible because the sky in the picture, I don't know if you saw it, but the sky in the picture is extremely homogeneous, aka it's all the same. And you don't want to have streaks of color here because it doesn't first of all, it doesn't look good, and second of all, it's it will draw attention. You're gonna if you have a sky that it's not uniform, your eye is going to be drawn to it, and you're going to be wondering like, is this supposed to be a cloud, or is this supposed to be there, or is it a mistake or something? And it takes away the the attention that needs to be focused on the building, not on the sky. So the sky is a compliment, and it's a nice compliment, but other than that, I wouldn't venture more than that. So the more uniform it is, the better. And I think I achieved that because so this is after I after I dried it up um, with my hair dryer, and it's actually looking fine. So I'm adding some more shadows here. Especially, I have a really dark tint here. This is probably burned sienna plus black, which makes it extremely dark. And the area I'm doing here is, of course, the overhang of a roof. So the overhang of a roof, remember this is a rule. If it's a sunny day like it was this, the overhang of the roofs get the biggest shadows. And don't be afraid to overdo it because there's no way you overdo it. These shadows can be extremely long underneath the the overhang, or can be shorter, but they have to be there. Otherwise, you're not gonna see that nice effect of the sun shining, the sun shining in the sky, and therefore making a shadow underneath the overhang. So I'm painting here. This is the second roof, so we have two flat roofs. And then we have the little castle, I mean the little tower on the top. That one has an overhang, but it's a little smaller. And so I wanted to show here like what's going to happen inside the windows. Well, because it's a nice day and it's sunny, the inside of the windows are going to be extremely dark. This is another rule um, that I can almost tell you 100% that this always will happen. So if you're painting a building and you have windows of any kind, any shape, any form, and it's a really nice day outside, most likely your holes that are windows are going to be extremely dark. And I'm painting the frames here because those are going to be extremely dark. But these windows down here, so the lower windows, so the upper windows, the ones with the arches, those are actually holes. Like there's no window there. Or if there is, it's really big, so it doesn't shine that much. But the windows on the bottom, they are going to have blue shining because they're closed and it's glass. And what glass does, it reflects the sky. And so this is why you see a lot of times when people paint windows, they paint the glass and they paint it blue. Not because glass is blue, but because you have the sky reflecting in the windows. In fact, there are some tricks there you can use. Um, some The rule of thumb is it's blue as long as the sky is reflected in the window. So if you are like way on the bottom and you're looking up on a window, typically you don't see the sky reflected in it. You just see the landscape. So that will invalidate this rule. But in this case, we're looking almost straight at the windows. And so there's going to be a reflection of the sky. I'm just painting the shutters here a little bit darker. But the rule of thumb is, um, yeah, the windows, there are holes basically. They're really, really dark. I'm applying some more shadow here before we start doing the real shadowing. This is just like a preparation. This is first levels, and we kind of want these areas a little bit darker. But then you will see we're going to apply the real shadow, and that one it's going to be a little bit different. It's going to be like a purple with black. Okay, so I'm doing these windows blue because, like we said, they reflect the sky. And I think I put a little bit too much pigment on that one, but it's okay because it's going to be completely in shadow, so I'm okay with it. You're not going to be able to see anything. And there are some little curtains there in that window, so I didn't paint the whole thing blue. It's just reflecting whatever is left there. And as you can see, I'm making the blue a little bit darker on the top because usually that's how you see it. That's what the that's what it looks like. I'm also going to shadow this part here, putting a little bit more more yellow here, which is the ochre. It's called sienna. The name, the technical name is sienna naturale, which means natural sienna. And it's terra di siena. Terra di siena just means um, dirt from the area of Siena, which is kind of weird because Siena does have a very interesting dirt. If you ever visit the town of Siena, there are um, there are many parts of Siena that has this very yellowish dirt. It's very strange and particular. It's almost reddish. If you find it in a natural, you just find it like driving around and you see this very strange reddish dirt, and it's called Terra di Siena. So right now I applied some a little bit more shadow underneath that roof on the background. I'm doing these little arches. These are gonna have some shadows too, and they're very defined little shadows. So um, they they make it look like these arches are detached from the main window, from the main building, which is true because they are just like standing there. It's I think it was kind of a decoration there, but I'm not really sure what they were trying to accomplish with these arches. They're also called, so it comes from a tradition which is called Romantic, and it's kind of an architecture. I don't want to say something stupid, but I think it's a beginning of the millennia all the way to like the 1200. That's Romantic, or 1300. And they used to do these little arches. So what I'm doing here, I'm painting the main shadow, and I'm really trying to do a 45 degrees, which is the angle that you cannot go wrong. Usually the sun underneath the roofs, it's 45 degrees, unless it's like sundown, or if it's at sunset, it could be a different angle, but usually it's 45. And I'm shading this entire area because that's what needs to be done, and it's like that in the picture. But then I have to leave, and this is what really makes the magic happen here. I'm going to leave slivers of light in between this big shadow here and the other ones I'm going to show you now. So and you have to be extremely precise, and you have to go parallel, but yet leave that little sliver of light in between the two layers of shadow. And the reason why is there is more shadows. There's like um, little ribbons of stretched ribbons of shadow, like I'm doing right now. The reason why that's happening is because those stones on the corner, they make these shadows. They make these long shadows. And so you see this weird effect. And I'm now doing the shadow from the other roof, which covers this entire area. So this roof where we are underneath right now, that one is, once again, everything is in shadow there, like the other roof. But see how nice the effect is there? Like there is a piece of light that's like shining through. And then you have shadow on the right, shadow on the left. And that's where the magic comes. That's where you're gonna see that it's gonna look like this is outside somewhere. So it's gonna look realistic. So um and I probably applied a little bit too much pigment, but I like it because it's better to be a little bit more bold, in my opinion, than being afraid to do a little bit too much and then it doesn't look good. And here I'm on this side, I'm also applying the shadow because this one is, I could have done a 45 here too, but I like it like this. I think in the picture there's no 45. There is just it's just basically this entire side of the tower is in the shadow. And now I'm applying some more pigment here because I want that side to be in the shadow. Um, and as you can see, now the color underneath started to dry up, and I really like the effect because I see that, okay, I just dried everything up here, and I see that down below, it really creates this very intimate area where everything is like um, subtle, and and yet you can tell that there is a bright light coming from the sky, and it's exactly what I wanted. I'm applying some more darker areas here because we are underneath that overhang of the roof, um, which is always good because that area has to be the darkest in the entire painting. That's a rule, and you cannot break this rule, otherwise it's not going to look realistic. And here I made a mistake because the the shadow underneath that roof that I just painted should have continued all the way down, but I didn't do it. It still looks good, but I think I'm gonna retouch it, and I'm retouching these windows and what's inside the windows because that also is gonna be a very dark area since there is no sun shining there at all. Um, and so I'm adjusting all of these shades of for this big shadow play. So there's shadows everywhere, there's light everywhere, and I'm also, the tower is casting a shadow on this other building. I don't think it's in the picture, but I kind of wanted to do this because this is an important part so that it looks like the tower is close to that building. So it gives it like a perception of closeness, and I really like that because it makes it feel like everything is more bunched up together and more closed. So, and I like that because these Italian villages, they really feel like that. If you ever go and visit one of them, it really does feel like every single house is on top of the other one. So it's like sometimes it's overwhelming. You look up and you see tons of little windows that are just going up and up, and then roof. There is a roof, but then there is more windows on top of the roof. It just never ends. So it's typical Italian village. So I'm very pleased with the effect here because I can see the light, and I'm just adding some darker shades so it looks a little bit more realistic. I probably didn't have to do this because I did a lot of ink drawings with the. Um, I use ink basically to draw the stones and the little details. But I kind of like this because um, I'm basically emphasizing what's there, the stones and the reflections that the stones do on the walls. I'm applying a little bit more shadow here. I'm just playing with this because I want to see. I like it already as it is, and I don't want to overwork it, which is a big deal because people tend to overwork their watercolors. And I'm guilty of this. Like every time I have to remind myself, do not overwork it because we are always inclined to add things, add something more because it doesn't look good. And overworking works sometimes when you're sketching with a pencil or a pen, but it almost never works with watercolors. So one of the things with watercolor is that you have to know when to stop, and that is very difficult for me because I'm never happy with what I do. So I'm always looking for improving it, and oftentimes if you overwork it, you're going to destroy it. It's that simple. So I'm doing some more details here, and these little flags. So Italians have a thing about flags. Let's talk about these flags. Italians have a thing about for flags, but not necessarily their country flag. Um, you know, the green, white, and red flag. Although that sometimes you can see that in a window or so. But these flags that you see on top of this building, which I completely made up, like the picture doesn't have these flags, but these are flags that are ancient flags of old families. So they're basically they used to be on buildings in the medieval times, and Renaissance to symbolize which family owned which building. And Florence also had lots of flags in the windows and on the sides of the buildings. And basically, what they were a system to communicate and tell people, "This is my building." And the flag usually had a um, some kind of design inside, and that was the the design of the family that owned the flag. I'm doing like stripes here, yellow stripes. Then I'm gonna put some red stripes there. I have no idea. I'm just making this up, but I don't know who this flag could possibly belong to. But a lot of these flags are red, yellow. They're different colors. For example, the Vatican, the Pope, their flag is yellow and white. um, Florence, for example, the flag is white background, and then there is a flower which is red on the top. So I mean, every town, every family has its own flag, and they love to display them, even if there is nothing going on. They'll just put them on their building, um, and it's just a fun thing to do. There's nothing behind it. Um, but just finishing here this flag a little bit. But as it is, I'm very pleased. So if you'd like to follow along more of my videos, please do so. I know they can be a little bit long and sometimes even boring, but it's just for fun. And I like this one, and I'll see you in the next one. Like and subscribe if you'd like to. Thank you.